Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I'm Scott Moss, and in today's video, I want to talk about how I stay productive and efficient as a senior software engineer. So early on in my career, I was just so focused on not messing up and trying to impress people because I was so worried about being found out that I don't really know what I'm doing, because you had this like severe imposter syndrome, right? Like you just think that one day someone's gonna come to your desk and pick you up by the collar and kick you out because they saw your GitHub and your code was cringeworthy and they made a mistake of hiring you. That's kind of how I felt. But reality set in and I realized that maybe I do know what I'm doing. And I wanted to double down on that. I wanted to be better. I wanted to not just be scared of not knowing, and I wanted to just ignore that fear and focus on my output, focus on being more efficient, focus on being more productive. And these are just some of the things that I've learned along the way. So the first thing, like most engineers, is you're probably working with a team with a product manager or a designer, some marketing folks, things like that. You typically have some type of work that you know you need to do. It's probably already spec'd out for you, things like that. Really depends on the company and the product. If I don't have that, I like to figure that out. One thing that I don't want to do is trying to go into work not knowing exactly what I'm doing. I don't want to try to figure out what I'm doing at the same time of me actually doing the work. It's just too much. I really try to limit the things that I'm doing at once, because the more you try to multitask, the more complicated things are and the more sloppier things get. So I always just try to limit all the different things that I'm working on. The first thing is I try to go figure out the biggest problems about this certain thing. So I'll do something like open up a Google Doc and literally just write down the feature and start listing some of the biggest problems associated with the thing that I'm working on. And for each one of those things, I'll go to Google and I will literally search for those things. And I'll come back to the Google Doc and I'll like paste the links to the sites that I saw that were gonna be helpful for that. That way I just have like my little index of different solutions, possible paths I can go down to solve some of these problems, because these are gonna be the riskiest things. These are gonna be the things that are gonna eat up most of the time. Now, as a junior engineer, some of this stuff is already figured out for you from your seniors because they already like spec'd it out in your ticket and they already did the research and stuff like that. Well, as a senior engineer, this is me doing the research. This is me going to figure that out, figuring out what the big problems are, getting ahead of them now so they don't bite us later at the end of the sprint or end of a quarter or something like that. I'd rather know now versus, at the end and be like, oh, well, yeah, we have to like do a whole database migration or we have to like completely redo a rebuild for some reason. Let's just figure this out now. So I like to stay organized as much as I can. And even right now, I have like a Google Docs folder full of just hundreds of documents from like all the projects that I've ever worked on, where it's just me listing the thing that I'm working on and different problems that I was having and certain solutions that I was thinking about pursuing to solve some of those problems. The next thing I like to do is, because I am easily distracted, so what I like to do is just get it out of the way. One of my biggest things is getting on Twitter just to see what my friends are saying, the community's saying, responses from the YouTube channel. I want to respond to some of those comments. Just anything I know that's going to distract me, I try to get it out of the way now, because when I sit down and I start working, if there's just one little thing that's going to break my concentration, it's going to risk me literally not working for the rest of the day. So once I do that, I like to pick up my phone and I'll do two things. One, put it on Do Not Disturb. I just don't want to be distracted by it when I'm working, so I'll put it on Do Not Disturb. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll just set an alarm or a timer for a block of time. And usually it's like an hour up to 3 hours, depends on what I'm working on. And that's my time to just sit down and focus on this and try not to do anything else. If I feel like I'm going to be doing this for 2 or 3 hours, maybe I'll send out a text message to people like my family, like, hey, I'm gonna be busy for the next 2 or 3 hours. Don't call me. Just letting you know if I don't respond, this is what I'm doing. And then before I start, something that is a must for me, an absolute must, is I need music playing. Without music, I honestly don't know if I'll be able to focus and get a meaningful amount of work done. I could definitely get something done, but I wouldn't say it would be my best. And I also wouldn't say that I probably wasn't that focused. So what I like to do is I like to get on like Spotify and I'll find like a chill playlist, usually something without lyrics, something that's calm and just has like some nice soothing beats, some lo-fi stuff, the stuff everyone's listening to. That's what I like to do. That way I can focus. So while I'm sitting down and trying to focus on the problem, it depends on how long. If it's going to be, like I said, 2 or 3 hours, I'll probably need to like take a mini break. It's not so much like a full break where I'm going to go and, do like a lunch break and maybe chill for like an hour or so. It's more like a 5 to 10 minute thing where like I'm either getting some water, I'm grabbing a quick snack, or mostly I'm stretching. I might even just do like some push-ups, try to do some handstands, like literally anything just to get active That way my body isn't just sitting still for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And then the most important thing is, no matter how much work I got done or how much work I didn't get done, once that timer goes off, that's it. I feel like people either do one of these things. They either say, I gotta get all this work done today, no matter how long it's gonna take. And then there's the camp where it's like, well, I got this amount of time and I'm gonna do as much as I can this amount of time. And that's something that I've been transitioning over to for the last couple of years. Sure, there's things like deadlines and stuff like that and emergencies that have to happen. Well, if you plan it a little better, you shouldn't be rushing at the end. And one thing I also wanted to talk about is, as an engineer, developer, when you're working on something, it's so common for us to get stuck on things, right? In fact, I get stuck on silly things all the time, and I'll go back and look at them the next day and be like, how did that happen? I think it's important for me to talk about that because that can eat into your productivity and it can eat into your, you being efficient and your output. I'll do two things at the same time, basically. I'll try to see if I can figure out what's happening, but at the same time, asynchronously, I have something going on in the background, and that could be literally me slacking one of my teammates saying, hey, this thing is broken. What do you know about this? Have you seen this before? Do you know the person that did this? Or it could be me with some Stack Overflow stuff on the side or some GitHub issues open. Like, I'm trying to do both of the things at the same time. And this is one of the rare times where I'm multitasking. It can lead to rabbit holes of just like infinite knowledge and outdated Stack Overflow posts from like 2001 of you trying to figure out what is going on to get this resolved as quickly as possible before I risk getting out of my zone and losing my flow. And I'm so stuck that I gotta come back tomorrow. And eventually what happens is you start to see some of the similar issues when you are working with the same code base. So as these issues keep popping up, you already know what to do because you've seen them before. And that just kind of builds into your experience, which also helps you get unstuck faster the next time. So that's my process. That's how I like to work. That's how I like to get things done. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like. If you want to see more videos of me talking about how I like to do certain things in my day-to-day job, leave a comment below. Maybe I'll make more. Depends on what you all ask for. And until then, I will see you next time. Peace.